Big Minecraft projects take a bunch of resources, especially when building in survival. I've seen a Minecraft YouTuber need 200 sticky pistons for a build they were making. But do you know off the top of your head all the materials you would need to build 200 sticky pistons? I don't either. That's why for my final project in my C++ class this year, I decided to build a recipe converter to help solve this issue. This program has 3 different functions built within it: a stack converter, a recipe converter, and a directory, so you can see what items the program can handle. And after months of hard work, I'm proud to say that it is finished. And if you're watching this video, it's currently free for download and is completely open source. Let's start off with the simplest, the directory. You access it by selecting option 3 in the main menu. It is then further broken down into different subcategories: base items, smelting, obtainables, single crafts, multi-crafts, and then you can go back to the main menu. Now, I'm going to further break down what each of these categories are for. Base items. These are items that don't have a crafting recipe, you can just obtain them. Smelts. These are items that you can, for the most part, only obtain by smelting them in some variation of a furnace. Obtainables. This is the shortest list, as I just needed a place to put unique things that you cannot obtain through crafting, such as a honeycomb. Single crafts. These are items whose crafting recipe only include items from the base items category. And multi-crafts. This is for any other item that you can craft using any items available. You can navigate these menus with the provided next page and previous page prompts. You can even return back to the directory menu or the main menu. In this version 1.0, I do not differentiate between different wood types except for bamboo. I don't include stone variants such as deep slate, granite, or andesite either. This was mainly due to the scope of the project I needed for school. But the first few updates I plan on adding to the project will include the various wood types and stone types. Next will be the very first thing that I coded into the project, the stack converter. This is the computational brain behind the project. It takes in raw numbers and converts them into what I call Minecraft numbers. These are double chests of shulker boxes, stacks, and excess. Example, if you needed to convert 20,000 of something that stacks to 64, you can see that you will need 11 shulkers plus 15 stacks plus 32 of that item. I've also entered safety checks to make sure that the quantity you enter doesn't break the program. If you enter something over the unsigned integer limit, which is this big number on your screen right here, it will say, "I'm sorry, that number is too large. Please enter a valid quantity." Unless you're just button mashing, this won't ever practically come up in your everyday Minecraft adventuring. I then tied the stack converter to the recipe database. So when you enter the name of an item you're converting, if it's found in the database, it will convert it properly using the item's listed stack size. For example, here is the stack converter converting 720 ender pearls, which have a stack size of 16. If you misspell an item or put something that isn't in the database, it will assume that it stacks to 64. But the program will let you know, "I didn't find that item in my database." This will assume that your item stacks to 64. If you believe this to be an error, check your spelling and try again. And now to the biggest part of this project, the recipe converter. This took the longest to code, debug, and get just right. It starts off by asking you some qualifying questions such as, do you have access to bamboo, Whether you'd prefer the recipe converter uses bamboo for sticks or planks for sticks, among other things such as if you have access to a stone cutter. These things are critical to make sure that the recipe converter uses the proper recipes for your situation. So let's go back to our example of 200 sticky pistons. Here is the crafting recipe for both the sticky piston and the regular piston, for the few of you who might not know what it was. As you can see, it needs slime balls, cobblestone, planks, iron ingots, and redstone. 200 sticky pistons will require a fair bit of resources to fully craft. That is just what the main function of the recipe converter is for. It takes your input of 200 sticky pistons and converts it into 12 stacks plus 32 cobblestone, 2 stacks plus 22 logs, 3 stacks plus 8 iron ingots, redstone dust, and slime balls. Finally, let's talk future scope. As I said, this has been released free and open source, and I have plans to update it with a few features. The first few updates will be adding the wood variants, stone variants, and extra stones such as granite, andesite, and diorite recipes. Then I plan on adding decoration blocks, ones that don't necessarily serve a function, but can be used in building. Then, the next feature, I plan on adding a multi-craft option. This will allow you to not just convert one item at a time using the recipe converter. That way, if you have multiple items that share a common base item, such as cobblestone or logs, it will give you one list of all the base items that you need to obtain. Then, the next few updates will be behind the scenes things as I prepare to upload this into WebAssembly, because version 2.0 will be a fully web-based application. That way you don't have to download and run this locally anymore. And that is going to be it for me today. I appreciate you all for watching, and I hope this tool makes your next mega build happen that much faster.